Hey there my fellow designers and creatives, hope you're all doing well. This is Chetan here from Design Palette and welcome to part 3 of the tutorial series on creating a cinematic animated promo. In this video, we're going to go ahead and create the next few scenes. So without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, so I've already gone ahead and imported scene 3, all the assets that we need. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and select, the scene 1 screen, which is supposed to be scene 3 screen. I'm going to go ahead and just change this. And I'm going to take that and drag that into a new composition. And we've got scene 3. I'm going to kind of take this and drag this outside and then just name this composition scene 3. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and choose a couple of the people, the list items, and I'm going to kind of drag that inside over here. Now I kind of want to refer to how it is, so I exported a reference screen as well, and this reference screen is kind of going to help me learn understand where to place the elements. First I'm going to reduce the size down of this to a little bit so that it kind of fits. Yeah, there we go. And move this down, and so I've got list 1, list all right, and list 2. We can bring this down. Then we've got list 3. Let's make this to full so we can see it better. And then we've got list 4. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I think we need another one, list 4, maybe get list 5 and list 6 as well, probably, right? So we're going to select all these. And I'm going to come here to the align, and I'm going to say distribute vertically. So, we kind of get something that looks like that. So I'm going to move this up. All right. And let's kind of move this around quite a bit. So 4, we need 5 to be over here, and we need 6 also to be over here. So now I'm going to select all these ones that we have and kind of align them like so. And let's turn back on our layer so we can see all the ones. So I've got 1 2 3 4 5 6, and I'm going to move them up so that the first one aligns perfectly with the first one, and the last one sort of aligns perfectly with the last one, right? Just a little bit of playing around. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm going to select all these 3 and just distribute. So now everything perfectly sits, and that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and delete W1 because that's the reference one. We don't need that. All right. So now we've got, all these elements over here. We've got 6 elements, and what I'm going to do is animate the position and the opacity, just how we're doing for the rest. So I'm going to press P and Shift T on my keyboard, and we're going to create a keyframe. And let's move 30 frames forward. So Shift and Control or Shift and Command and press the right arrow key 1 2 3 times. And I think this composition size is too big, so probably reduce that down to like 5 seconds. All right. Oh, sorry. Press Control K, and not 50. It needs to be like let's make it like 8 seconds, and yeah, that should be fine. And we move 30 frames forward. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select all these keyframes that we created. This is the end position, right? So we kind of want to move this towards the end, and then you want to come back to the beginning. And now we can move these a bit down. So kind of move them a bit down as much as you want. And also change the opacity of this to be 0. All right. And then you're going to select all these elements. All right. And right click keyframe assistant, choose easy ease. Let me quickly save. And then we want to go to the graph editor and select all these keyframes. Kind of let's zoom in a bit, make sure you get the proper handle. All right. And then just go ahead and, move that inside like so. All right. And of course, turn on motion blur for everything. You want to make sure that in scene 2 also everything has motion blur. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go into the logo and apply motion blur to that as well. There we go. So everything has motion blur. All right, so now if you go ahead and play this, you can see that they all animate, one by one, but we want to add a sort of a delay. So I'm going to move like 5 frames forward and kind of offset each of these. So let's go hold Control and press the right arrow key 5 times, 1 2 3 4 5. And then I'm going to move list number 2 by pressing the left square bracket key, 1 2 3 4 5. And then press the left square bracket key, 1 2 3 4 5. Select this plus the left square bracket key, 1 2 3 4 5. select this, press the left square bracket key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, select this and press the left square bracket key, right? So now if you see this, they kind of animate slowly, beautifully, one by one. The reason, the other two are not being animated is because we're anyway going to cut this area when we put it into our main scene. But for now, we can just show only these visible, right? There we go. The rest is going to be cut off anyway. Cool. Now let's create scene 4 as well. And once we create scene 4, we can go ahead and take scene 3 and scene 4, put that into the final scene and, add the camera animation. So first of all, let me go ahead and get in the assets for screen 4, right? So I'm going to select all this, put this into a group and call this scene 4. And we're going to select the scene 2 screen. I'm going to call this scene 4 screen and drop that into a new composition. There we go. And we can go ahead and just rename this to be scene 4 and move this out. All right, so there we go. Let's close everything. We need the scene 4. There we go. And I'm going to select all the tiles that we have. I'm going to bring that down over here. And now we're going to go ahead and just kind of space these evenly. So I'm going to select scene tile 1, 3, and 5 and kind of move this over to the side like so. And then we're going to take tile 2 and 4 and move this over to the right side. And then we can just kind of like take everything and make sure we kind of properly align them like so. Yeah, like that. And then tile 1, we can just play around with this. So select 1, 3, 5, just play around with it until you get the spacing a bit perfect. 2 and 4, it's gonna go ahead and move this to the side. There we go. And then I'm gonna select 2, 3, 4, 5, sorry, just 3, 4, 5 and bring that down. You can hold down shift and then we've got number 5 and the number 5 is going to be somewhere over here, right? There we go. And then we can select all these 5 and then just move these back to the top like so. And that looks pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and animate this. So let's come like 30 frames forward. So let's go ahead and set a keyframe. This time it's going to be for the scale and the opacity. I'm going to press T on my keyboard and S for the scale and add property. This is the final state. Let's come back to the beginning. And also let me go ahead and kind of make this, like 5 seconds, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to reduce down the scale to a number like 70%. Don't reduce it completely to 0. It kind of makes it feel a little unrealistic. Making it to kind of like 70 or maybe even 65 is a good number, and set the opacity of this to be 0. All right, and let's go ahead and select all the keyframes. Right click keyframe assistant and choose easy ease, and then also come over here and then select all this and move this inside. Right, there we go. And once we do that, let's play this and see how this looks. Okay, I'm not sure why scene. Oh yeah, we want this to be 100. There we go. So let's play this. Oh, we want this to be like 30 frames forward. So we can go ahead and select all this and move this over here. All right, and then we can select all the keyframes that we created, come here to the graph editor. Oh yeah, that's done. Okay, so if you play this and make sure we set this to quarter, kind of renders faster. Also turn on motion blur. There we go, looks pretty good. Now obviously we want to set a delay of 5 frames. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can move this left square bracket key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The left square bracket key, control and right arrow key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Select this and move this to the left square bracket key and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The left square bracket key. So now we have this kind of like a delay effect where one of them animates one beside the other, and that looks really fun and interactive. Great. So now that scene 3 and scene 4 is done, let's go ahead and kind of put this into our final scene, which is over here. And I'm going to grab in scene number 3. I'm going to drop that in. Okay. And so as you can see, we've got, this animation that ends over here. And, pretty much after it ends, what we can do is let's begin scene number 3. Okay. And scene number 3 is going to be like this. And now we're going to go ahead and kind of add in a camera, add in a null object, and, make it really cool. So let's start off by creating an element called as the camera. So right click, choose new camera, and you want to make sure that all this settings are default. You don't want to play around with it. Only thing is you want to play around with the preset millimeter. Now 50 is the one that I prefer. You can choose whatever you want, and I'm going to click on OK. Great. And you can see that the camera does not affect 2D layers. Select a layer and choose the menu. You can just close and say never again. That's okay. Now what we want to do is we want to select scene number 3, and you want to turn this into a 3D object so that we can rotate it the way we want. The next thing is I'm going to select right click, choose create a null object, and this null object is going to be my camera control. And we want to kind of pay attention to, let's hide the rest, right? Let's focus only on these 3 elements. Okay, and obviously we want to select these 2 and kind of drag these out because we kind of want them to start wherever it is. And what we're going to do is now the camera is going to affect only the layers that have this 3D option, right? And scene number 2 is not 3D, so we don't want to affect it. But just to be on the safer side, let's press Alt and the right square bracket key so we cut it over there so that this camera control is affecting only the scene 3 layers. All right. Cool. So let's go ahead, and what we want to do is first of all select the camera, and we want to parent this camera to the null object. So now the null object is kind of controlling the camera, and you want to turn the null object also into a 3D layer. All right. Cool. Now what you want to do is everything else is kind of left to you. It's your freedom to go around and play with stuff. You can do whatever the hell you want, but let me show you how you want to go about it. But the first thing I want to do is I want to select the drop shadow preset and apply that to scene 3 so we can actually have a good dimension over there. Maybe reduce down the opacity to like 10%, right? Keep it subtle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the camera control. I'm going to press R on the keyboard, and I'm going to start rotating this. Now when I rotate this, you can see the entire scene rotates, because first of all what's happening is the camera is moving. And because the camera is moving, the scene also automatically moves, right? So all these 3 are kind of connected. So I'm going to select the rotation and just go ahead and rotate it slightly like this, and maybe even the the x-axis. All right, something like that, and that's looking pretty good. Now we kind of want to move this down as well. So what I want to do is I kind of follow the structure where the rotation is controlled by the camera control and the position is controlled by the scene, right? So it kind of makes it easy to animate multiple properties without kind of messing things up. So right now I'm going to just play around with the rotation is going to be like that, which is going to be which the camera control is affecting. And for the scene 3, this is going to be the position. So I'm going to kind of move this down like so. There we go. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press P on my keyboard for the scene 3. And I'm going to move like 1 second forward, or 2 seconds forward. So from 16, we can go ahead and set that to be 18. That's going to be the end. And what we want to do is we're going to kind of want to move this up. All right. And and you can go around and play around with this as much as you want, have the complete freedom to play around with it. All right. I'm going to move this over here. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to the beginning, and we had the camera control, right? We had the orientation. I'm going to move this over here, and we want to rotate this. And in the end screen, we kind of want to rotate it like so, right? And maybe reduce this down to like 10% or something. Just go around and play with whatever you want, right? And obviously you want to go ahead and right click keyframe assistant and choose easy ease. Okay, now this is going to be like a very smooth animation. So if I go ahead and play this, you can see that the animation is like quite smooth. And maybe what we can do is maybe go a little bit forward, a few more frames, and kind of move this out like so. It's all a matter of spending time and playing around with the spacing, right? And let's go ahead and play this again. So yeah, I think I'm going to bring that back. All right, there we go. Now so over here, what happens is once we come over here, what we can do is somewhere in the middle over here, we kind of want to move this to the left side because we want some text to come on the right side, right? Now the problem is if I move over here, it kind of affects the existing position properties we already have. So what we want to do is we want to create a new null object, right click and choose a new null object. And I'm going to call this scene3 control. Okay, and I want to bring this down the scene, and I'm going to parent the composition scene3 to the null object scene3. Okay, and obviously we're going to go ahead and bring this over here. So now what's going to happen is if I move the null object, to the left and right, you can see that it's moving the entire scene, but this scene is also being animated because it has its own properties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press position over here and probably move 30 frames forward. Right, and I'm going to move this over to the left like so. Right, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and select these, right click, keyframe assistant, and choose easy ease. Come here to the graph editor, right, and then we can select all this and move this in over here as well. All right, so now if we take a look, there we go. So what's happening is that the scene is animating, but since we added that null, it also moves the entire animation towards the left side of the screen. All right, and now all we need to do is go ahead and grab in our text element, and this is to bring in the text, and we're going to say redesigned UI. Okay, and let's go ahead and make this quite small. So say something like 150 pixels, maybe even 100 pixels, right? And hold control and click on the pan behind tool to kind of center it. And let's move this over to the side over here. And I think let's move this last keyframe over here, and kind of we can move this over to the left side. So we have like a good balance of space, right? And now it's a matter of only animating this text element. So over here I'm going to press P on my keyboard for the position, and over here we're going to make also add a keyframe. So this is the end position, and in the beginning we want this redesigned UI to be behind the scene, and let's move it inside to the center, so it's getting covered like so. And then select these two keyframes, go to the graph editor and click on that, and just kind of move it in. And now let's play this. All right, so there we go, and bam, fantastic. Now you can see that this text is getting cut a little bit. So what I can do is let's begin the text itself from over here. All right, because this is where the text starts to appear. And now when we play this, you can see it moves perfectly. There we go. Obviously you want to make sure you want to turn on motion blur for all the elements, and there we go. So that's pretty much it about how you create a scene like this. Okay. And once you do this, you want to make sure that you go ahead and press Alt and the right square bracket key, so you cut everything over there. Maybe let's go a few frames forward and press the right square bracket key and cut it. So we've got our scene 3 set up. All right, now it's time for scene 4. So let's go ahead and grab in scene 4. You want to bring that in, and we're going to pretty much perform the exact same process. Press the left square bracket key to bring in our scene 4. Probably move a frame forward and bring that over here. And first of all, let's add in the drop shadow, because it's really hard to see things without the drop shadow. So paste that drop shadow. There we go. Now for the scene 4, we might not have to use a camera because it's just going to move in 2D space, and we can use a simple scale property. So what I'm going to do is first of all, reduce the scale of this to something like this, and press P on the keyboard as well, and kind of want to move this down so that it pretty much looks like this. All right, and this is kind of the sort of the end state that we need. So let's go, let's see how many frames we had over here. All right, so scene 3, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So right, 2 seconds, right? So come over here and let's just close up everything else. All right, we're going to click on the position. We also want to animate the scale. All right, and we're going to go 2 seconds forward. So let's go to 19 and set that to like 21, and we can go ahead and add 2 other keyframes over here as well. Okay, and what we want to do is let's actually zoom in a bit over here so we can see this properly. Is that I want to scale this, all right, from 59 to sort of like 45, and also bring this down like so, and we can go like 30 frames forward, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a keyframe over here and set this to 59, which was, or 60, I think that's the number. And also we want to kind of move the position a bit down so we kind of see everything that's there. Maybe you want to decrease this to like 55 and move this up so that, or maybe 53, so we can see all the 5 tiles. And here I'm going to delete the last one for now. We can add that later if we want for scale. And so I'm going to select all this keyframe assistant and choose easy ease. And let's go ahead to the graph editor and we're going to select this. Let's zoom in quite a bit over here. And move this over to the left side like so. All right, so let's quickly take a look and see how this plays. All right, there we go. Right, so we've got that nice fade in animation. All right, and we can kind of delete this position. We don't want that for now. We can have this like so. And now we want to go ahead and add in a new null object. So right click, choose new null object, and this is going to be scene 4 control. So now any extra things that we want to do to the entire scene, we can animate that. So I'm going to come here to the beginning. I'm going to close this up, and what we're going to do is we want to animate the scale and the position for this. So I'm going to press S, click on scale, and the reason we want to do this is because let me actually move this over here. And so here is because we kind of want to keep making this scale, the entire scene scale. So if I come to 21 2 seconds forward, we still want to keep scaling this a little bit, right? And obviously you want to make sure that you go ahead and parent the scene 4 to the scene 4 control. Okay, and now the scene keeps scaling a little bit. We make sure that nothing is starting on the screen, and I'm going to kind of take BG white and kind of extend that. And then what I'm going to do is once we finish sort of animating it somewhere over here, we can go ahead and press P on our keyboard for the position and press U to see all the keyframes. And over here we can go ahead and move this over to the side like so. Let's actually go 30 frames back. All right, and or we can come over here and go 30 frames forward. We can select these two and kind of move them inside over here. And this we can kind of still move this over to the side. And then we can select all these keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, and choose easy ease. Now only for these two, which is the position, we want to add in the speed effect, not for the scale, because the scale we want it to gradually happen across the entire 2 seconds. So I'm going to select this, click over here, and then hold down shift and just drag that over to the side. And all we have to do now is grab this text that we did. So we copied redesigned UI, copy that, and we want to paste that over here. And I'm going to double click on this and I'm going to say combine multiple splitting methods. All right, and we want to kind of bring this over here and move scene 4 to the top. All right, and I think there was an issue, so I'm going to say combine multiple splitting methods. Okay, and we want to go ahead and make sure that the line height is set to auto. Oh, or we can set that to 150, or kind of let's reduce this down. Yeah, something like that. And we can also set the alignment to left align. So go to the paragraph and set this to left align. There we go. And now it's pretty much the same thing that we did. So let's press U on the keyboard. So we have the position properties. And I'm going to click the stopwatch to remove those keyframes, because I'm going to press Control and the double click on the pan behind tool to kind of center this, and then go to the align and send this vertically and horizontally. And we want to begin that animation somewhere over here, right? So let's bring this text over here, and we want to scale this down a little bit because it's covering up too much space. I'm going to press S on the keyboard and also press P on the keyboard, right? So let's actually do one thing. Let's come here to the end, and let's set this up so that we have the end state. All right, and I'm going to come also set the scale as well, and I'm going to come to the beginning. Okay, and the beginning position is going to be in the center, but we want to reduce down the scale so that it's kind of hiding behind the text. All right, something like that. And now we can select these, right click, keyframe assistant, choose easy ease, and come into the graph editor, select all this, and go ahead and scale, move this over here. And now if you go ahead and play this, we should have a nice animation, and there we go. That looks super cool, right? So you can see that the entire scene is still scaling, and then it moves to the side, and the kind of text scales from the right side. Let's go ahead and just kind of say multiple at the enter and splitting S, right? So let's play this one last time and see how this looks. There we go. That looks super cool. And we can kind of end this after like 20 frames. So select all this text and all the layers and press the Alt and the right square bracket key, so it kind of cuts over there. So let's take a look at what we have done so far. All right. Oh, let's actually turn on all the other layers and make sure to turn on motion blur for everything else. All right, so we've got meat, the all new, and then beautiful, sleek, feature packed, splitwise, and then we get the text and it bam moves inside, and you know the next part comes in, and then we've got this nice animation, and then we've got this animation, and there we go. Yeah, obviously this is not very perfect. You have to play around with the speeding, the timing, the duration and things, but this is kind of just to show you and give you an understanding of how to animate something like this in After Effects. So that's pretty much it for this video. In the next video, we'll go ahead and create the next screens. So if you have any questions or requests, let me know in the comment sections down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing, awesome content. And I'll see you guys in the next video. So till then, take care and bye-bye.